Welcome back, everyone. This time we'll be talking about data classification, and there are some different ways of doing that. We'll go all through that. Last time, remember, we went through an overview of statistics, what are some of the definitions and so on. If you don't remember some of that, you might go back and review it. You can even run it and just listen to it while you're doing something else. But pay some attention to it. Okay, data classification. First of all, we want to know how to distinguish between qualitative data and quantitative data. So how can I get you there? Well, if you look at this part of qualitative data, you're talking about quality. If you look at quantitative data, think of quantity, which usually represents some kind of a number. So remember that. Quality, like what color is this chair? Quantity, how many chairs do we have? That's sort of the difference, and I think that'll get you a long ways. We'll also talk about the 4 levels of measurement: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. So I don't know how you're going to remember this order, but this is very important. N-O-I-R. It's not alphabetical, and that's not exactly a word, but it's a good thing to remember. So here we are. Qualitative data. Remember, quality doesn't represent a number. It's non-numerical. Like a major, what's your major? Is your major physics, English? What is it? Place of birth? Mine is Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and that's not a number. Eye color? Mine's blue. What's yours? It's not a number, though. I don't have the eye color 6. Do you? No. Quantitative data? No. Notice the difference. Each one of these points you to a number. Someone's age, maybe 16, 21, and so on. Weight of a letter in ounces, pounds, kilograms, grams, whatever you want to use for units, but you'll have a number associated with it. Temperature, numbers. Is it 68 degrees outside? Is it 86 degrees outside? Numbers. Quantitative data opposed to qualitative data. This is the quantitative part. And of course, we've got some questions for you. Remember the pause button? Yeah, this is your friend because you get to practice and no one knows what your answer is. And you can say to yourself, well, I meant whatever. Okay, so which of the data are qualitative and which ones are quantitative? Make your guess. Hit the pause button, read it through again, look at the table, and see what you come up with. Okay, you're back. And here's the table. And these are qualitative. Gymnastics and hockey are not represented by numbers. You don't have a number 7 sport, which is also called gymnastics. No, that's pretty silly. These are numbers over here. They definitely represent how many of something. So we use the numbers. Now we'll get to the levels of measurement. Remember, N-O-I-R, and we'll take them in that order. One thing to remember is that order is important because the nominal level is not the most helpful. You can't do any computations. You can only categorize using names, quantities or labels. Qualitative only, no numbers. Next step up, ordinal level of measurement. Qualitative or quantitative, could be either one. The important thing about this is not only might you see names, but they can be arranged in an order or given a rank. You can't tell the differences between the data entries. Even if there are numbers, the differences are not meaningful. A quick question for you. Which ones are nominal? Which ones are ordinal? Remember, nominal is like name, ordinal like order, and that'll help you keep track of it. So, which one of these, is it this one or this one? Which one is only nominal and which one is ordinal? Okay, you're back, and here we go. These are ordinal because they come in an order. Second, these are nominal because you don't have any order for those. Next, remember, N, O, I, R. We've already talked about the nominal and the ordinal. Now we talk about the interval level of measurement. Again, these will be numbers, definitely. And we can do some things with those numbers. You can put them in order, so it might have a name, but it also has an order, and it's an interval type. Differences this time are meaningful. You can subtract them and get something that makes some kind of sense. However, 0 does not mean none. It does not mean you have none of it. For example, temperature. Temperature, sure, there are differences. Between 68 and 70, 2 degrees difference. Right, it's quantitative. It can be put in order, obviously, and you can subtract. But a 0 temperature doesn't mean there's no temperature. 0 does not mean the bottom level, because you can have a -7 degrees Fahrenheit. 0 does not mean none. And last of all, we'll put these letters up here again. Nominal, ordinal, interval, where we can find differences, and last of all, ratio. Now, what does this represent? Well, it's rather similar to interval level, but this time 0 is not just a place on some kind of a scale, but it means none. 0. Zilch. Not only that, but also you can find ratios of data values as well as the other. One can be a multiple of the other. One can be twice as much as the other, 17 times as much as the other, and you can have ratios or fractions. NOIR, nominal, ordinal, interval, ratio. Okay, self-test coming up. Which ones are at the interval level? There we go. Which ones are at the interval level? Which ones are at the ratio level? So look at these dates. Look at these numbers of home runs. Okay, you're back? Oh, these definitely are names of years. They also can be put in order. 1923 happens before 1927, so it's ordinal as well. And a difference can be made too. Between 1923 and 27, there's 4 years difference. So it's also an interval level. Over here, oh, by the way, what about 0? Do we have a year 0 that means the start of everything? No, because remember, there's BC too. You could have 324 BC. So 0 doesn't mean no years or no time. On the other hand, home runs. It's nominal because there's a name, 62. Second, you can put them in order. Which ones had more home runs than the other? You can subtract them. One club had 3 home runs more than the other. Differences. So it's interval. And also, 0 means none. If you have 0 home runs, you've had none. There's no such thing as a negative home run either. That's another way of thinking of it. Or one team could have 30 home runs, another one could 60 home runs, and you could say the second one had twice as many home runs as the other. So that's definitely a ratio type of data. Interval for the dates. Ratio for the home runs. Now, there's one extra thing I'm going to throw in here that I'm surprised the slides didn't include, and that is these cities. Now, what are they? Well, right off the bat, you know they're ordinal, or excuse me, they're not they are nominal to begin with. Second, are they ordinal? These cities, is there an order to them? Well, ignoring the alphabetical order, all they are names, nothing else. You certainly can't subtract them. You can't say one city is twice as good as the other one. So it's not ratio. Nominal only. This is ratio, and this back here is interval. I hope you got those or got close. Now here's a table you do not have to memorize. This is just for your purposes, noticing that nominal isn't very useful. You can only put them in categories. No order, no subtraction, and one can't be a multiple of the other. You move down to ordinal, yeah, you can put names on them. Yes, you can put them in order, but subtracting, no. Multiples, no. Interval, yes, they have names. Yes, you can put them in order. Yes, you can subtract them and get something meaningful, but not one being a multiple of the other. You can't have one being twice as much as the other. And last of all, but not least, of course, because it is the best, ratio. You've got a name, even if it's a number, it's a label. Definitely an order to them. You can subtract them and get something useful. And one could be a multiple of the other, as well as 0 for the ratio means none. Okay, here are some examples of qualitative data. Remember what that represents. Qualitative means no numbers represent these types of data. And here are some examples. Types of shows, and you can put them in categories. Ordinal. You can take those ratings and put them in order from ones that's most restrictive to least restrictive, or vice versa. So there is an order, because PG has a stronger restriction than a G rating. Everyone can watch the G-rated movie. Those are examples to use when thinking about measurements or types of data. Interval, take a look at these. Quantitative, because you've got numbers for these. Definitely always numbers for interval and ratio. Remember these, the temperatures have an order. You can subtract them and find out what the temperature difference is. It's meaningful, but one temperature can't be a multiple of the other. So it's not ratio. And in the ratio, you can do all of those things. Remember, in particular for this one, the thing that sets it apart from the other ones, there we go. The thing that sets it apart is 0, means there's none. In this case, no precipitation, no rain, no snow. And also the fact you could have a month where you had twice as much precipitation as another one. Ratio for sure. Well, folks, that's about it. We'll see you in section 1-3. And until then, keep smiling and bring your questions to class. I'm waiting for them. Bye-bye.